Hello and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Energy and AM 790 KBC and across the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore alongside Keely. You're in place of Sean Cody
I know,
today.
we miss him.
We leveled up today.
Do we? I don't know. I think we're the big winners here today. Sean's actually has a good excuse for not being here. The great Reggie Bush is being inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, and Sean is there supporting his former college teammates. So that's a good USC reason. Max Brown, of course, with us, and we've got Bennie Wylie, one of our favorite guests. USC's coach interview is presented by I Trust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. Bennie Wylie, of course, the director of football sports performance here at USC. Coach, good to have you. We obviously see the things in the field, and everyone judges everything by the results in the field. How was year two for you, though, in terms of your program and what you were trying to instill here? How do you recap, your year in your area?
Just, of course, like we're always judged, like in our room, with just wins and losses. I mean, that's just how it is. Based on how the year is, that's how we did in the weight room. And so we're critical, like, of ourselves, and so we know there's work to do. And so, again, like, we're, of course, disappointed, but we know that there's only just room to go up, so.
In that sense, do you evaluate as the season's going on what you want to address in the offseason, or is that something that you approach once the season's over and you know what the roster looks like?
Yeah, we're currently always evaluating, because like in this profession, like you don't get to sit on your laurels. You have to always think ahead. And in the world of the portal, you're almost thinking like what's next always. And it's always changing. And this is just a new world like college football. So even just like amidst the games, like you're thinking, okay, these are things that we've got to improve on. These are areas that we know we're going to lose next year and things like that. So I would say constant and always like evaluating.
Mm.
In my opinion, I think the strength and conditioning piece is one of the most underrated components that the average football fan doesn't really know the extent of it. I think for me, I spent more time with the head strength coach during my time here than my own position coach, and you lose track of that, especially during the offseason. But we're in an era, you mentioned the transfer portal and player movement and whatnot, and when I was here, like the dudes that were there on January 15th, like that was pretty much your roster for the rest of the season. Yeah, you were going to get an influx of high school kids, but now you got guys coming in at different stages and things like that. How does that change your programming, your mindset, and the way you have to approach an offseason when, like I said, guys are going to be coming in at different months at a time?
Yeah, and like I would say, it doesn't even change just mine, but just our whole profession. It has changed what we do and how we do it. You used to have 2 or 3 or 4 years with guys, and you could build culture that way. And you had your juniors, that could teach like all the young guys, and you had your seniors that kind of ran the show. And like right now, you have the portal where like you may know a guy for like a month, and he's already a team captain. And those things have just changed just the culture and the offseason and the dynamics of what we do. And so you're forced to build the culture and build the toughness and build those competitive like environments even before we get on the field. And so that's really crucial, and kind of where like Coach Riley and myself have kind of talked about where we have to really shore that up and even put more emphasis into culture and competitiveness and like building that culture early and often.
You're listening to Bennie Wylie on Trojans Live. Big news of the week is USC football hired a new defensive coordinator in Danton Lynn. You obviously haven't had a ton of time with him, but I saw some stuff from Coach Riley's press conference today that there have been some initial conversations. What have they been like, with you and Danton in terms of, what he's looking for out of you and ways to maybe tweak the program to fit his defensive needs and system?
Sure, almost none, other than like I saw him at practice and just walked up right away. He's got great energy. He's super positive, great vibes, from just off the cuff.
Yep.
I can tell that he's got some kind of hidden stuff in there, pretty calm on the surface, but I know he's got some dog in him. And so just excited to just get to know him more, and get to know what he's just kind of what he's about. And so we talked about kind of body weights and things like that we know that we're going to have to address as we're getting ready to move into the Big Ten.
Yeah, in that sense, we heard from Coach Riley earlier today, and he talked about one of the non-negotiables he had going forward was getting bigger up front for the defensive line. For you as the strength coach, how do you approach that, knowing that directive has kind of been laid upon you?
Yeah, that's great. When it's clear and like all members know, it is super easy. Just makes my job easy. When the players know, when the coaches know, when I know when those standards are set, it is easy because there's just no gray area, and we know where we're going. Like, we're going to the Big Ten, not the medium 10. And so there's no options for like our football team to grow. And we're really excited about that. And that takes me back to my years like at Texas Tech, where we brought in kind of undersized like O-line and D-line guys and had to build them up and put 20, 30, 40 pounds on guys. And so that's just right up my wheelhouse. So
where does that change what you're emphasizing? Because on one side you want to get bigger, but the flip side is USC, we're known for speed, and you don't want to necessarily sacrifice that, because if I'm Iowa or I'm Northwestern in the Big Ten, that's what I fear about USC is the speed component. Are the lifts changing, and is it a nutrition thing? Where do the emphasis change?
Every bit of those, all of those. And I mean, our guys just have to eat. And in the world of where we were coming in, we could say, well, like, I want to be fast, I want to be light, I want to be lean, and that's just not where we're going and what we're doing. And so there's no option. And you have a ton of teams that are already in that conference that are big and fast. And so we can do the same thing. So it's not optional, it's non-negotiable. You don't get an opinion. Like, you get to lift, you get to eat, and that's it.
You know, one of the things that really just noticed a prevalence of now across multiple sports at USC, you know, we notice guys wearing what they call the Catapult system. You know, I'm wearing wearable technology. Everyone sort of has it now. And I feel like we don't talk about it a lot. We see these pictures constantly, these guys wearing it. We don't really talk about it. Where has like the technology gone in your profession? How are you guys using that now than maybe you were 5 years ago, when it was sort of like, oh, so-and-so can run, you know, we're now talking about speed in miles per hour. That was sort of like one of the first things. But how do you guys actually use it?
Yeah, we have a sports scientist who is, absolutely like phenomenal, probably the smartest guy in the building, Jack Polk. He does a great job of like collecting that data. And where you really want to use that is health. I mean, that's the number one thing. You can have all these metrics, you can have the sports science, but if it's interfering with just the old school toughness and like the culture, then it's kind of like in the way, you know? So we want to make sure that we use that, just that data, that we're keeping our guys safe, we're keeping them healthy. Just for example, Caleb, that was one of our huge like metrics for him. During the week of practice, he had to hit a certain mile per hour if he was going to do that like in a football game. And we took like year one of those injuries and those nicks, and that was really the number one key indicator of his health, is if he ran well on Tuesday and Wednesday in practice. And he fought me a little bit, and by a little bit I mean a lot. By, Coach, I don't want to run today. Well, I don't care if you want to run, you're gonna run today. And so just having the data out there like on an iPad, you're looking at the speeds just live, and so it gives us great feedback and instant feedback, and gives like all of our team just an opportunity to meet those metrics and needs that we have to have.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, the last thing that stood out to me about Riley's presser today was he's talking about they're extremely impressed by the offensive line freshman class. And I know you spend a lot of time with them. What have you seen from them? Riley said that in the bowl practices so far, it kind of stood out that they look different. So I was curious what you've seen.
I would say Josh Henson did a great job of like recruiting big athletic dudes now. I mean, they are freaking big. And so when we look about going into the Big Ten, that's one of the positions that from a youth standpoint, they like already match up. I mean, they are freaking big and they're athletic. And like I told him today, I mean, God only makes big, fast, flexible like O-linemen about every 2.5 years. I mean, he just doesn't make them very often. And so they are in that category of big, athletic, fast. They're funny dudes, man. They are what you think about as like an O-line. They're tight knit. I mean, they're always together. They hang out together. They lift together. Like they Stairmaster with me together, and so we do a lot of things together. But a great group of young, talented, hard-working dudes that, I mean, they have a tremendous upside.
Awesome.
Well, the Trojans are headed to the Big Ten, and Bennie Wylie is going to get them big and ready for it. But a bowl game first, the Holiday Bowl, December 27th against Louisville. That has been officially announced, a 5 o'clock kick. Our show will go on at 3 o'clock, so we'll have all the coverage around that bowl game, and we will talk about it next. You're listening to Trojans Live.